It's all about the money. It really is all about the money sometimes. So the big question is, if you're farming in your first year, how much do you have to make per day when you show up at a farmer's market? What do you consider good enough? $400 a day is good enough? In this case, $400 a day was a win. That's where farmer Neil Robinson started his first year of market farming in New Zealand, standing behind a stall that no one stopped at. And how many weeks could you endure that? No one stopping. $400 a day. Well, not literally no one. Very few people stopping to bring in just $400 a day. Could you do it for a week, 2 weeks, a month? How about 15 weeks? That's how many weeks Neil had to wait. And today he's clearing over $800 at the market on a good day, pushing past $1,000 on a great one. He didn't change markets. He didn't change locations. He didn't settle or add a second day. He changed how he thought about what the farmer's market actually is. Today, we're going to talk all about what happened. I'm Diego, D-I-E-G-O. Welcome to Modern Grower, where we talk about building a profitable farm business, not just a farm. Let's get into it.
I can certainly say that the farmer's market itself was a lot more difficult than I first imagined it would be. What I realized was that you only develop your sales at the farmer's market through being persistent and turning up every week and developing familiarity with people. And there was a great quote from one of your guests, I forget who it was, a couple of weeks or something that I listened to a couple of weeks ago. And it's just because you've turned up at the farmer's market doesn't mean that there's going to be extra people there to buy your stuff. Okay. You're going in to fight for the same number of customers as everybody else. And you've got to break that. And look, within a couple of weeks of being at the farmer's market, I'm looking around and wondering why the guy who's selling almost identical veg to me 2 stalls down has got a queue of people at his stall, and I'm still there looking around and wondering what's going on and why am I not selling?
That moment right there. You show up. You've got good product. You've done the work. But the person a few stalls down selling the exact same product or very close has a line out the front of their booth. And it's not because their carrots are better. It's because their carrots are familiar. Here's what most new vendors don't understand about a farmer's market. You're not entering an empty room. You're walking into a room full of relationships that already exist. And the reality is, none of those customers at the market owe you a single sale. Neil said something in our interview that stuck with me. He said, just because you've turned up doesn't mean there's extra people turning up at the market to buy your stuff. You're fighting for the same customers everyone else already has. And Neil's not the only one who's talked about this. Michael Bell, a farmer who I interviewed, does consulting for new growers. He said the exact same thing. He told me the first thing that a lot of new farmers say is, there's a good farmer's market in my town. It's right down the street. I should do that. And his response is always the same. Are there already farmers there selling to those customers? And just because you show up, more customers don't magically appear. What you're doing when you go to a new market, you're splitting up the existing pie even further. You're not growing it. 15 weeks! 15 weeks! That's almost 4 months of showing up before it started to feel like a real business. And here's the part that nobody tells you. It's normal. That's the rate. That's the comp. The range can be massive in terms of what you can earn. Daniel Mays from Firth Farm has talked about making something like $80 at his first farmer's market, and he was thrilled. $80, that's it. Michael Russo made $750 on his first day, but he was at a market with 160 vendors and 6,000 customers coming through every single week. Back when we were doing the Urban Farmer, Curtis would talk about going to the market, getting stoked. He worked hard all week. He was expecting to bring in $800, $1,000 that week, and he came home with $270. Gutted, heart-wrenching, but that's the reality. Different markets, different contexts, but the lesson is the same. It's going to take longer than you think. And the ones who make it, Curtis ended up dropping 2 of his 3 summer markets because they were just too small. He said it was demoralizing for the person working the stall. They just weren't bringing in enough. Trey Johnson had a freeze. He missed 3 weeks of sales and never went back to his market. He pivoted to grocery stores entirely. The vendors who succeed at farmers markets are the ones who survive the first few months when no one cares if you're there, when no one is interested in stopping to buy your stuff. Neil didn't have some secret here. He just outlasted the expectation that this should work immediately. Remember, just because you show up with product, don't expect a line out the door ready to buy it. It's a grind. Look, if you're starting in a new farmer's market, budget 15 weeks of showing up before you can judge whether that market is working or not. Not 5, not 8, 15. Treat those first few weeks as an investment in visibility, not a test of your product. You're building customer relationships that will hopefully last you for years to come.
Firstly, by being consistent and showing up every week, because people walk past and they become a little bit more familiar with the stall and what's going on and who you are. And I learned a long time ago in sales that it's not about making the sale. It's about creating a good impression. Okay. So that in the future, people are set up, because if you maintain the right attitude at the market stall, etc., people look across and you get a smile back or whatever, whether or not they bought from you before. The following week, when somebody else has run out and they come to your stall to look for carrots or whatever it is, you've already made a favorable impression with that person. And a lot of that can be completely subconscious as well. So yeah, and it's not all about making a sale. I believe it's about making a favorable impression.
That reframe changes everything. Most vendors are standing behind their table thinking one thing: how do I get this person to buy something? Neil's thinking something entirely different. How do I make sure this person has a good feeling about me in my stall, whether the person buys today or not? That's a sales principle, not a farming principle. It came from his career before farming. He spent years in manufacturing and product development. He understands that the sale is the end part of the process, not the beginning. The person who walks past your stall for 8 weeks and then suddenly stops, that's not an accident. That's the payoff of 8 weeks of impressions. Neil told me the story about someone he literally used to work with. They walked past his stall 8 straight weeks and didn't even know he was there. Week 9, they finally looked over and said, "Oh, I didn't know you were here. When did you start?" He'd been there for 2 months.
I've also grown specific products that are more eye-catching, really, as to attract people to the store while I've been in the early stages. A classic example is scallopinis. I think what you guys call Pattypan squash. I know that I can sell a lot of zucchinis on the stall, but to differentiate myself, I grow some Pattypans as well because they're a good talking point. People will always come over and have a look. They're curious, so that can initiate a conversation, and I might get the opportunity to sell them Pattypans, or that they've got an eye on something else that's on the stall. And I do the same thing with pumpkins as well. So again, look at pumpkins, probably not a traditional small scale market gardening vegetable, but I grew them last year specifically because I wanted something a little bit different. So I chose a variety that's a small, compact, bright orange pumpkin. And the other attractive thing about those was that I knew that those particular pumpkins would be very easy for people to carry away from the stall, as opposed to a bigger, heavy-sized pumpkin. And the reason behind that is that the vast majority of the shoppers that are coming to my stall are older ladies who are not able to carry very heavy bags. I wanted to reduce the weight of the product if I could, and have something that was super seasonal and attractive. So yeah, that was another one that I knew that would just keep bringing people to the store, and that my competitors weren't growing those either.
This is the part that's easy to miss. Neil's top sellers are still the basics: salad mix, carrots, radishes, the same stuff everyone else sells. But those aren't what bring new people into the stall. Pattypans bring people over. Bright orange pumpkins catch somebody's eye from across the aisle. Once they're there, they see carrots, they see the salad. The eye-catching products aren't the profit center. It's a customer acquisition tool. And notice the level of thought here. He didn't just show up with a pumpkin variety that looks cool. He picked one that's small and light because most of his shoppers are older women and can't carry heavy bags. He designed his product mix around his customers, not around what he wants to grow. That sounds obvious when I say it out loud, but realize it's not obvious for most new farmers and most business owners. They want to do what they want, not what the customer actually wants.
Yeah, too much salad mix for a start. I was certainly coming away with, I didn't do it too many weeks, but just getting the balance right. I think one week I came away with 10 or 15 bags of salad mix left over, and I've got no opportunity to resell those. So they went in the compost. And that might not sound like too much, but if you're only making $400 or something like that, then, that's getting up there at over 10%. Yeah, that happened a few times, but you've got to adapt quickly. And the classic thing is you can't sell the product unless there's somebody there to buy it.
10 bags of salad mix straight to the compost. On a $400 day, that's real money gone. That's about 10% of your sales. And it happened more than once. But here's what he said about it. He started keeping records. Nothing fancy, what he brought, what he sold, what was left over. And that one extra column, I think, is the smartest part. He notes what he didn't bring. That missing column is the one that most people are going to skip, because without it, you look at the slow week and you might blame the market, the weather, low foot traffic, whatever the excuse is. But if your notes say you didn't have radishes that week, and radishes are normally a $150 product for you, then it's not a slow market. It's a supply problem. And supply problems are solvable. Neil sells 30 bunches of French breakfast radishes a week at $5 a bunch. When he doesn't have them, he feels the pain of not having those in his sales numbers. The forecast doesn't have to be complicated here. It just has to exist. You have to keep records.
Yeah. Can I support myself doing this? That's a good question. And I'm really learning the answer to that this year. I'm still not hitting my bootstraps. That's for sure. The farmers market has become a lot more successful for me. There's been a bit of a change in terms of the vendors that are coming in. And we lost a major vendor last year, which I think has boosted everybody. So I've got a bit more of a market share now, and starting through persistence to take a bit more of a market share. And it's only really been this year that I felt that I'm making enough money at the farmers market to justify exactly what's gone on, or the amount of time that I'm spending there. Good week now is over 800. for me, $800. If I'm hitting my bootstraps with and get all of the right numbers of products on the stall, it can go well over 1,000.
Double where he started. Same market, same number of stalls, same number of customers, same town. He didn't have some viral moment. He didn't get featured somewhere. He just showed up. He tracked his numbers. He designed his stall around his customer. And he kept going past the point where most people want to tap out. Here's the thing about $800 versus $400. The market didn't double. His product quality didn't double or get remarkably better. What doubled was his understanding of who his customer is and what they actually want to buy. Neil will be the first one to tell you he's not done. He said he needs to double his sales again to feel like it will be the business he wants it to be. He's making roughly 35% margins, but the gross isn't high enough yet to justify his income goals. That is the next chapter. But what I want you to take away from this is the trajectory. 15 weeks of $400. 15 weeks of not meeting expectations. Then $800 heading towards 1,000. All from a guy who was standing there for his first month watching the queue at somebody else's stall. Quick hits from Neil's Playbook. 1. Budget 15 weeks before you judge whether a new market's a keeper or a tosser. 2. Your stall is making an impression whether you sell anything or not. Make it a good one. 3. Grow something eye-catching to start conversations. The profit comes from the basics they buy once they stop at your booth. 4. Track what you brought, what you sold, and what you didn't bring. That third column is the one that fixes your forecast. 5. If you're short on product and high on demand, raise the price $1. Neil does this weekly. 6. Design your product around your customer, not yourself. Neil chose small pumpkins because his shoppers can't carry heavy bags. Neil didn't have a marketing budget for his farm business. He didn't have a social media following. He didn't even have a farming background. He had a lean manufacturing brain, a stall at a local market, and the patience to show up for 15 weeks when nobody was buying. That's the whole thing. Now, go build a farm business, not just a farm. I'm Diego, Diego. If you like this video, drop a comment, hit subscribe, hit like. It all helps with the algorithm. Thanks for watching, and until next time, be nice, be thankful, and do the work for 15 weeks at least.